The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome, everybody, at this fourth webinar in a series of the M-Partner webinars. I thank you all for your participation in this webinar. And so today we will have the continuing on the EnGenius EWS training. It's this third part of the training, and today we will go through through all the features. It's not totally hands-on like the last webinar, but we will just go through the features as listed in our feature list. So let's start to introduce myself. I'm James Roos. I'm a product manager in the European office of EnGenius, in our EnGenius Europe office. I am here as a bridge between headquarter and the European market, and my responsibility is to give you all the information from headquarter through to the European customers. So therefore, this webinar series of webinars that I'm responsible for. So let's start today with our training. Today's presentation is continuing the previous presentation where we had a hands-on on the EWS solution, and like I said, we will continue and go through some features of the EWS solution. This slide shows a full lineup as we present in our spec sheets and in our publications. A part of the features are already highlighted in previous presentation, but we will quickly through the whole list to give you a complete overview of the features inside the EWS. So we're just going to start one by one and just go through the whole list. And if there are any questions, you can post your questions, and I will study them and find an answer for you and send the answer to you after the webinar. So let's just start with the first one. AP auto discovery and provisioning. Well, the AP auto discovery and provisioning function is the main function that the EWS switch will recognize the EWS access points automatically. Even though all the access points are in default on the same fixed IP address, 192.168.1.1, you can just connect them directly without conflicts to the switch at the same time when you're setting up the wireless deployment. So on the moment that you are discovering and provisioning the devices, you will not have any problems with conflicting IP address. So that would not be a problem. Actually, the next feature what we are going to highlight here is actually also the thing what it does. It will automatically ask you what IP address do I want to give to the access points, because of course the default address cannot stay like that. You can choose to use DHCP server for to assign the IP addresses, but you can also set up a range that you can let the EWS assign the IP addresses to the access points. So next function, AP cluster management. Just in short, a cluster actually is a group of access points, and the function of a cluster is that you want to combine access points together and configure them at the same time. Especially if you have a lot of access points, you don't want to configure them one by one, and most of the time you will have groups that have the same settings, or mostly the same settings that you want to use, and you can configure them all at if you configure one cluster at the same time, you configure all the access points at the same time. But still, individually, you can override the cluster settings and to give us different settings to separate access points. So you have to smartly divide your group of access points into your wireless deployment. So a small example can be that, for instance, you have a building with 9 access points divided over 3 floors, 3 access points per floor. And what you can do is to group one floor with 3 access points and each floor, and that 3 times and make 3 different clusters where you can have the first floor with a cluster where you have access points for your own network, but also for guests, and the second and third floor you just don't give a guest network on this on the cluster. So the cluster management, the cluster configuration is actually exactly like configuring an access point, but actually you configure all the access points at the same time. So when the access point is clustered, the common parameters will be grayed out. So in this slide, it shows you that you that you are configuring the access points here. If you first have to make the access points, make the cluster, add the access points here, and then you can do the radio settings in here. It looks like this. Normally, this is the let me check and mix. There are some mixing here. This is the wireless settings for the access point, and actually, if you configure do the cluster settings in, like I said, show in the last slide, this one, the settings are the same. So if you have an access point or a cluster, the settings look like this. But once an access point is inside the cluster, then, like I said, the features will be grayed out. And here you can see that you can override the cluster settings by clicking on the override checkbox, and then you can individually still have different settings for an access point within a cluster. So this is the whole story here. Then the next item, AP device name editing. Of course, just to show you the feature, you can change the name of the access points. Next one. Okay, next feature, remote AP rebooting. If you go to the list of access points, you can see all the access points, and even from this access point, from this list, you can easily select which access point you want to do the action on. You can select them all, and you can reboot them from here. Okay, we just go further. Should be LED control. Yes. LED control. This is also one of the features that is actually recently added to the firmware. With the LED control, you can enable and disable the activity of the LED lights on the access point, and in some cases, it would be very useful to disable the LED so it will not disturb the environment. Okay. Regarding this LED control and these new features, I like to emphasize again that our firmware updates, which will have regular, we're continuously working on our devices to improve, and maybe in a later stage we find some bugs or we want to improve it for certain deployments. All our firmwares, all the updates are free to download, and you can free upgrade the firmwares. If there are new features added in, it will be free to download. Unlike other brands that you have to pay for the firmware updates, or you only pay for one update, or maybe a few updates that you have to get a subscription for. I like to emphasize here that on our solution, all the firmware updates, they are free to download and free available, and you can just upgrade your system whenever without any extra cost. So, next feature, band steering. Band steering, just to quickly explain it, band steering is a function that since we have many devices that are already supporting 5 gigahertz, and the 2.4 gigahertz is actually very crowded at this moment already with all the devices, with smartphones, with tablets. With band steering, it's a function, not a particular function of EnGenius, but many other brands also have it, and we are also deploying this, and we have it in our system. Just explaining quickly, band steering wants to check the client if it's also possible to use 5 gigahertz, and if it's possible to use 5 gigahertz, it wants to only open 5 gigahertz to the client and not let the client use the 2.4 gigahertz. At this moment, the band steering, as it is provided by the chipset vendor, it's not a perfect solution, because it's not really like a managed client solution, but it can be a good tool, and our band steering is working exactly like the Cisco ones, the Rukens ones. So within the limitation that everybody has, we have the band steering in our system. The band steering is a feature that you have to put in the advanced settings of the radio. And there is just one note here. If you want to use band steering, the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz SSID and security settings have to be the same as mentioned here in the note in the interface. Okay, client limiting. Client limiting is a function that you can use to limit the number of users connecting to the access point. For instance, if you would have a setup with multiple access points, you actually want to divide the customers, the clients, to multiple access points, and you can stimulate the network to only accept a certain amount of clients, and then you actually push, or you restrict the clients to have to go to another access point. So with client limiting, you can set this up. And it's a radio setting, and in this case I show you here that you can just put the number of clients, put my mouse here, in the settings of the radio. Okay, then we go to traffic shaping. Traffic shaping allows you to limit the upload and the download speed per SSID, and the clients, in this way you can divide the loading of the SSIDs to a more balanced level, that not one SSID will be loaded. If you just limit it, then it will squeeze the stability more to different SSIDs. Another way to control the data rate is bandwidth control. And actually, the bandwidth control is not a controller function. It is a switch function where you can set up the up and download limit per port. So when you connect one access point to a port, it will be equal to configuring. When you connect one access point to a port, if you configure the port, it's like that you configure the access point. So in this case, I have a screenshot of the switch module where I can set the bandwidth per port, and in this case, you can see you can set the upload and download per port. So that means that you can also shape the traffic, shape the bandwidth of the access point. To summarize this, make a small table here. So to control the traffic or the quantity of clients in the whole network, there are a few things. So summarizing here, per access point, or actually per port, but since you have one access point connected to a port, you can do the bandwidth control. So you can already shape the data into one access point. And then per radio, you can do client limitation, and per SSID, you can do traffic shaping. So in this whole structure, you can really like play with the volume or throughput, the bandwidth, quantity of clients. You can shape it into a more divided loading to the whole network to make your network more stable. RSSI threshold. Well, RSSI threshold is the function previously known as fast handover. Headquarter renamed this into RSSI threshold to make it more obvious what the function actually is doing. Just in short, to explain it, you can set the RSSI threshold to a certain, like the word says, threshold. It means that you set this value, and when a client is going below this value, the access point will kick out the client. It will do that 5 times, and after that it will not kick you anymore. But the reason is to stimulate the client to find an access point which is stronger than the access point that is connected at this moment. Because normally the behavior of the client is to keep on connecting to the same access point as long as possible. But in this case, below this threshold, the access point will kick it out to stimulate the client to go to another access point. Of course, you have to check, or you have to only use it when there is actually another access point where a client can connect to. So you have to have before to enable this function, you better do a proper field survey, and you really have to fine-tune these levels in order to work this function to work properly. Okay, next, guest network. So guest network. Well, of course, one advanced settings in the advanced settings is the guest network, and you can set up one guest network per radio. Okay, next item, mesh network. In the how to say, in the overviews that we always publish, there are many times you find the word mesh network with a star. With a star means, just to make it honest to you, star means that we are still working on it. Don't forget to just take this for granted that we have mesh network. Actually, mesh network currently is not yet available. Not yet means that our R&D is actually working on it, and it will be available in a future firmware upgrade. I don't know which one. And here I like to emphasize again that the future firmware upgrades are free to download on the moment they are released, and you don't have to pay extra for this. So yeah, just like to mention again. Okay, then fast roaming. Another new feature which is released in the phase 2 firmware is, why doesn't it go to fast roaming? Is fast roaming in a way that we have a new feature embedded, which called the 802.11k/r protocol. I actually want to go to the next slide first. The original 802.1x fast roaming, what I call the traditional fast roaming, requires a radius server, and that means that the server to handle the radius is a separate thing that you have to add in the network. And of course, our EWS system is ready to work with this. Just to show you a quick picture about this. Here you see a setup where you have two access points working together in the network with the authentication server, and it actually the authentication server will authenticate the client to the other access points. So the authentication server will help in roaming and connecting to the other access point. And our EWS system has no problem to work with it. If you use the enterprise securities, the WPA or WPA2 enterprise, you find the credentials where you can direct the traffic to the address of the radius server and let the radius server handle the encryption and the authentication there. Okay, but the new feature that we have built in our EWS system is the 11K and the 11R function. And for this function, you don't need to have a radius server. It's like a smaller, more simpler way of roaming, where the access points and the EWS controller, they will share the key to do the pre authentication to let you go to the other access point. And to make it simple, there's nothing to set up. You just have to enable it with one button, and it's inside the radio settings on the SSID configuration, and it's just one button there where you can enable the fast roaming if you want to use the 11K/R protocols. So yeah, you just have to enable here, and then it will either work with the 11K and R or the other fast roaming feature. Okay, next item. Multiple SSID, of course. We have multiple SSIDs. Most of our access points, depending on the access points, of course, but most of our access points have 8 SSID per radio. And actually, you can also set up the VLAN per SSID. And you can already see here that we have some other stuff that I want to highlight later, like client isolation and L2 isolation and the VLAN isolation, also in the SSID settings. Fast roaming. Okay, now we go to the next chapter actually in my presentation, and it is the chapter where we have all the monitoring functions of our controller. The first function is the AP status monitoring. AP status monitoring displays the status of managed access points, including model name, MAC address, device name, IP address, and cluster group. And a user can show and hide fields, and also you can arrange lists in ascending order or descending order. So it's easy to sort it on which way you want. So it's for you easy to manage. And if you click on one of the devices, for instance this one or this one, you will go directly to the access point, and you can configure the configuration there. There is also a search box which can be used to search for the status, the name, the MAC address, IP, the tag, and for easy management you can use the search box if you want to configure or search one access point. Okay. Then we go to the client monitoring. If you press on the active client menu, you will find that a few things are already in here, and a few features I would like to explain here. So this is generally the wireless client monitoring, where you can see the active clients. You can see the status of the connected clients, and the next feature is client fingerprinting. It's also one of the new features. It means that it's referring to the fact that clients are not only displayed as with their MAC address, this is like original, but also they come with the name of the client and the OS what is used. So in this case, you can already see that I have a few clients, and I see that there's one Apple OS device which is actually called iPad, and we have a few Windows 8 and a few Windows 7 clients in our list here. Furthermore, in this client list, you can kick or ban the clients. Of course, you have to select one or multiple or all clients here, and you can either kick or ban the wireless clients from this list. The difference is from if you just kick the client, you will just kick him out for one time. When it comes back, it will be accepted again. If you ban the client will be blocked by the MAC through MAC address, and once the client will come back, it cannot connect anymore because you banned it. And of course, you can unban it in the menu. Okay, then the topology views. The topology views, we already discussed this also quite in detail in the previous presentation, but I will just go over it to show everyone also today what it means. So actually, topology view is one of the three views that are in our EWS system, because we have the topology view and the map view and the floor view. Topology view is you get an overview of the network components that you have in your EWS deployment, and actually you can just easily zoom in and zoom out. Actually, this is just a small deployment with only 3 access points and one camera here. But if you have a more bigger deployment with 50 access points or more access points with multiple switch, then you probably need to zoom in or zoom out to get an overview or a detailed view. And I just go over the slides here. There are some color markings here, color coding. For instance, here green means online, gray is offline. I have no offline access points at this moment in this view. Yellow is busy, and the white one is unmanaged. There is an exclamation mark here. That means that there are some changes since the last view, because the view is like a scan for a moment, and on the moment that you scan again, it will compare the last saved scan, and if there is any change, there will be an exclamation mark. So for easy overview, they put this exclamation mark here, so you can see where the difference are since you previously watched the topology view. So let's go quickly over the slides here. It looks like, yeah, even what indicated here, the green arrow is that if you click on this, then you will automatically already go to the next, go inside the switch. It will redirect you directly. Once you click on one of the components, it will redirect to the, in this case, if you would click on this, it will go directly into the switch interface. If you would click on the access point, it will go directly to the access point. I'm going to skip a few slides here, and I go to the map view. The map view is using Google Maps and the position of your IP address as listed in the localization of your IP address. Of course, you need an internet connection to be able to use the Google Maps. But yeah, either you can just try to locate your position, and if you have a strange redirection in your localization of your IP address, then you still can manually find your address by dragging the map into the right place, and at the end you can save the map. Purpose is to get a visual overview of your deployment. So what you can do in the map view is to drag and drop the access point on the right places. And actually, the map is mostly functional if you have multiple buildings on the site, so that you can visually plot out your access points on the map. For instance, that I have so many access points there in this building, and so many access points in the other building, and I can see the loading, because actually the number in this icon here, in this case there is this number 0 in this icon here, and this means actually that there are 0 clients connected to this specific access point. But if you have clients connected, then of course that number will be higher according to the quantity of clients that are connected, and you can already see, yeah, some information here. This is a screenshot, but if you have the real view, if you hover over, then some basic information will already come up, where you can see the client's IP address, and if you click on it, you go directly into the access point to do some settings and configurations there. So the third view that we have is the floor view. Go to the next slide. And the floor view, in floor view you can upload your own images to represent a building floor, or building A floor and building B floor, or any floor in layers. And you can drag the access points into the image like the other one. When you calibrate the scaling in your picture, you can have a heat map estimation in your picture to simulate the coverage of the access point. And in this example, I have 2 images already loaded. And if you actually go to the floor view, floor plan view tab here, then you can actually go to the real view. In this case, we can select the picture here, and if we click on this list here, then you can just drag and drop the access points into your map. Like I said, I have to calibrate. I have to scale the picture to match the coverage simulation that is used in the heat map display. So it looks like this. You have to select a certain area, a certain distance into from the map, and then you have to set the real distance to scale the picture on the right scale. And then the heat map display, according to the power output of the access point, it will give you an estimation of the coverage of the access points. If you would increase the power of the access point, then the colors of the heat map display, they will change into a bigger range. And if you make it small, the power lower, then of course the scaling will also be smaller. So some other pictures. I have also a picture of the second floor. Just explaining here in this slide here. I actually I dragged two access points into this picture, and I put a certain power level on I think it's a default power level on these two access points. And if after scaling, I find that this picture is really green. So what I can already conclude from this picture is that probably the power output from these access points are way too big. You know, I have range of the whole access point, coverage of one access point in my whole building and my whole floor, and even also the other access point. So in this case, I can already make my conclusion that in this deployment, I would probably have to decrease both radios, the power output of both these access points, to have less interference, and even, you know, with a lower power, I could have even more stable wireless network. So in this purpose, we use the heat map display in our EWS system. The next items, the next features are about statistics. We can see some statistics based on access points, based on clients, and general throughput. Just go through the slides here. If you go to access points, it will show you the traffic per access point, and if you press on the access point itself, it will display the traffic scaled on the time per access point. If I would if I would click on the other access point, of course it will show the traffic of the other access point. It can also be let me check. If you hover over to the table, it will already give you some key information of the access point. If you click on the clients, of course, then I can see which clients there are connected to the access point. And in this slide, I can see that this iPad is doing some excessive traffic here, especially if you compare to the other ones. You know, and in this case, I can already see that, yeah, this guy is probably doing something that I don't want, or I do want, but yeah. And yeah, so from here, like also here, if I click on this client, there is also some basic information already coming out, showing into this deployment. So the last picture for the statistics is the throughput monitoring in general. It goes by access point, and you have to select the access point here, and then you see the throughput for the last 2 minutes, or about the activity of the access point. Okay. So the next feature is a new feature which is introduced in our EWS system. So far up to now, there are some messages coming up in the controller event log that all the things that are happening in the controller that will be registered, and you can see what happens, what events are happening by easy and friendly list, not like a normal plain text list, but you can easily see what happens here. And of course, you can export it and you can clear it all to your wishes. You can see here also you can sort it by only to the controller logs or to the switch logs, or both of them. So just to give you an easy tool and a more friendly tool to get information out of the EWS system. Next feature is the email notification. And the email notification, actually some of the events which you can select, which events that you want to have alerted by. You can select it and you can send it to some email address. Okay, SSL certificate. We also have built in an SSL certificate. It is actually a self-signed SSL certificate to secure your data encryption between the switch and the wireless access point. And APs will have to reconnect when using new certification information upon applying the changes. So after you change this, you have to reconnect, and then you can use the SSL certificate just to make your network a little bit more secure. Another feature for the security is the layer 2 wireless client isolation, which is actually a basic setting in the SSID configuration. And next to this, we have client isolation, which is a normal feature, but on top of our on top of this basic feature of the client isolation, we also put in the layer 2 isolation, just to make it more secure if you need it. And on top of this, there is also the VLAN isolation here. And like the slide where I showed the SSIDs in the overview, you can see already if these functions are enabled or disabled or not. Okay, last few features is about the maintenance. I also have discussed this in the previous presentation. Let me find the right slide here. One sec. And it's about the configuration, where you can just back up your settings here or restore the settings. Yeah, so it's a very simple tool here. I just like to point out here that you can. There are a few different ways to do this. You can use HTTP or TFTP, and you can choose to back up or restore the switch, the controller, or both at the same time. So this is the next page when you do it. Then the diagnostic tool. There is also a diagnostic tool built in our EWS system. And you actually can just go into this troubleshooting feature and do the diagnostic here. And in this case, we try to make a real strange error, and we find that there is an error, and we have to check the status of the network here. If you go to the switch function, there is also a troubleshooting page where you can even physically do some measurements on the cabling, and you can already check if the cable and the wiring is correct or not. You can already see the distance, the estimated distance, the length of the cables, and there you can already check also on the switch side if there are some problems in the network. One of the last feature that I want to show you is the firmware upgrades. And actually, even if you look at this slide, there are two ways to do the firmware upgrades. You can do it manually, or you can do it with the one-click update. Let's go first to the manually, and actually the manually is we call it the bulk upgrade function, and the bulk upgrade function is actually a turnaround of how you would normally upgrade a device. Normally you take the firmware and you just kick it in, and then you upload it. And you kick it in. But now in this bulk firmware upgrade, because of the fact that we have a controlled network environment where you have a controller and access points which can be different models, you actually have to upload first a firmware, and then the EWS controller will find where is this firmware suitable for. And so on the moment that you upload the file, the EWS controller will find, okay, you can upgrade this and this and this access point. You can select them, and then you can upgrade the firmware of those selected access points or switch or controller. The other feature, the other way of upgrading the firmware or updating the firmware is by the one-click update. And if you go to this page, if you press the check for updates, the system will check online if there is any update available for any component in the setup. By default, the EnGenius server is already the credentials already built in the controller, and the server will be contacted for this, and the devices that can be updated will be shown, and then you can select which components you want to update from this site, and then after you do it, then all the updates. All the devices should be updated. Okay. Yes, actually, this is the last feature that I want to show for this presentation. Yeah, actually, if there's any questions, you can post the questions in your in the chat box. Because I want to end the presentation here, but I will leave this page open for a few minutes so you can ask your questions. I will answer the questions after the webinar, and yeah, I just want to make these webinars a little light, so it's not so heavy to digest it. But still, I want to give you enough information that is useful. My next presentation is going to be the EnGenius Applied Wireless Solutions. We will talk about the standalone devices of our EnGenius range, and to see how actually can we use this in a more advanced ways, and to explain you and to give you more ideas how to fulfill requests from customers. So this webinar is going to be in 2 weeks, and I would like to invite you as well for this webinar. I would also want to disclose today that there are a few seminars now going on. My colleagues are traveling to a few countries, to some selected countries, and there is currently a seminar on the launch of the Easy Master solution, which is actually built on top the EWS solution to make it in a more extended way and use the Easy Master software to control multiple EWS solutions. After this range of seminars, I will also have a webinar about the launch of the Easy Master. So that will be also very soon upcoming. And I also would like to invite you for this, so you can also see what our Easy Master is doing. So yes, I would like to thank you for your attention into this this webinar. I hope to see you soon, and in another webinar. And yes, I will keep the webinar open, so you can still post some questions here, and then I will answer them afterwards. So I thank you all, and yeah, hope to see you soon. Bye bye.